Hey there, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we've got a really exciting guide designed especially for you. So, have you ever thought about yourself as having an inner spiritual battery? Kind of like your favorite tablet or RC car? If you don't plug it in, well, it just runs out of juice. Today, we're going to learn exactly how to keep those inner spiritual batteries fully charged and ready for action using some absolutely amazing insights from a classic text called Sustenance for the Starving Soul. Let's just jump right in by asking a pretty relatable question. Have you ever felt just totally swamped? Think about your typical week for a second. You've got homework piling up on your desk, chores your parents are constantly reminding you about, maybe sports practices, and on top of all that, you're trying to keep up with your friends. Sometimes these schedules can feel so incredibly heavy, right? It's literally like you're carrying around a massive backpack full of rocks. Well, this feeling of being swamped actually does something to us on the inside.
Section 1. The choked up word.
So, to really understand what being super busy does to our spiritual battery, I want you to picture a beautiful growing garden. But what if overgrown weeds just totally take over that garden? They crowd everything else out. Mark chapter 4, verse 19 warns us about this exact thing, saying, "And the cares of this world, and the deceitfulness of riches, and the lusts of other things entering in, choke the word, and it becometh unfruitful." I mean, think about that word, choke. The cares of the world are exactly like thick, heavy vines that wrap really tightly around a healthy plant. When a plant is choked by heavy vines, it just can't grow fruit. It becomes unfruitful. Honestly, can't even breathe. And these cares look a lot like our everyday lives. It's what happens when we're stressing over a huge math test or staring down a mountain of homework. It's the endless loop of chores, obsessing over beating that newest video game, or bouncing between jam-packed after-school activities. Now look, none of these things are necessarily bad on their own, but when they start taking up absolutely all of your mental space, they become those choking vines. They wrap around your thoughts until there is literally no room left for God. Section 2. Don't starve your soul. Okay, so we just talked about plants needing space to grow, but what about your own body? What happens to you when you completely skip lunch? Your stomach starts growling, you get super tired, and maybe you get a little hangry, right? That's because you're feeding your physical body with things like food, sleep, and playing outside. But feeding your inner soul requires entirely different nutrients. We're talking about things like praying to God, reading the Word, and just taking some quiet time. When we forget to feed our souls because we're way too busy playing games or worrying about school, we experience a totally different kind of hunger. Because of this, the text gives us a pretty serious warning. It says, "The soul is left to starve for want of nourishment." Basically, if we give all our busy thoughts and all our attention to selfish, earthly interests, our spiritual side simply runs out of energy. It starves. We wear out our minds and our bodies focusing for hours and hours on worldly things, and we leave our inner batteries totally dead. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Why are we so distracted? Well, the source material points out, this is just as Satan designed it should be. This isn't just an accident, guys. It's an intentional trap. The whole goal of this trap is to keep our minds so completely worn out on everyday tasks that we never, ever think about eternal things, like heaven, peace, or a relationship with God. It's a trick just to keep you distracted. And honestly, this creates a really unfair reality for so many of us. Worldly things end up getting like 90% of our fresh, vigorous, sharpest thoughts. We give all our amazing creative energy to leveling up in a game or stressing out about our social lives. And what does God get? A tiny 10% sliver at the very end of the day. He gets the tired, weak, and distracted thoughts, just the leftovers of a wearied and worried mind. This daily robbery steals the exact things that would actually strengthen our spirituality. Section 3. Clogged channels of light. This brings us from thinking just about ourselves to thinking about how we treat our friends, our siblings, and our classmates. Our text uses this fantastic phrase, a channel of light. Imagine a perfectly clean, shiny water pipe. A channel of light is a person who receives God's power and grace and allows it to flow straight through them to help others. When you're a clear channel, God's kindness just flows through you like fresh water, giving kind words and helpful deeds to the people around you who need it the most. But, well, here's the problem. When your mind gets completely engrossed in the world, that channel gets clogged with worldly matters. It's like a pipe just packed full of mud. Because of all that gunk, we have way less strength to share or impart to others. When bad attitudes, stress, and worldly obsessions block up our minds, the grace that Christ so badly wants to give us gets totally stuck. We can't help our friends in their upward way because our own pipes are completely clogged. Section 4. Jesus, the ultimate helper.
Okay, I know. Choking vines, starving souls, muddy pipes. It sounds like a lot of bad news. But there is an ultimate solution to unclog those pipes, feed that starving soul, and pull up those choking weeds. Our text gives us this wonderful encouragement. The greater the pressure upon you, the heavier the burdens you have to bear, the greater your need of divine aid. This is absolutely crucial. When you feel the absolute most squished and pressured by life, when the homework is the heaviest and the chores are the longest, that is the exact moment you need to ask for divine help. You aren't supposed to carry that heavy backpack all by yourself.
There are some seriously amazing promises for us when we feel pressured. Jesus promises to be your helper. He's like the ultimate plumber, ready to clear out your clogged channels. And even better, he gives you power straight from the source of all power. You don't have to rely on your own tired little battery. You get plugged straight into his. And once he clears out those worldly distractions, his divine rays will actually reflect upon others right through you. You are going to shine so bright with his light and light for everyone to see. So I want to leave you with this really big question to think about today. What worldly cares can you unplug right now to let Jesus' light shine through? Maybe it means putting the video game down just a little bit earlier to read a book, or choosing to pray instead of stressing out over tomorrow's test. Whatever it is, just remember that by clearing out a little room, you feed your soul, you clear your channel, and you let the light shine. Thank you so much for hanging out with me in this explainer. Now go out there and keep those spiritual batteries fully charged.